Good evening, you are watching News Mongolia on MNB World. I am Jugdur Gambold. And for our top stories, Prime Minister Oyun-erdene expressed his condolences to the people of Turkey. Prime Minister will make a visit to the Republic of Korea. The Government of Mongolia will strictly fight corruption. For the news, stay tuned. According to the tax authority, 476 citizens operating in the retail have reported income of 3 billion MNT, while 32.8 billion MNT may have been collected through bank transactions. Citizens who are self-employed have not reported their taxes for more than 30 years, so complaint about the violation of the principle of fairness is common. Because only business earners and employed people report their tax income truly. Therefore, the tax policy will include training for taxpayers on voluntary payment of taxes and spreading information on taxes to public.
We must provide a fair and transparent tax system as well as financial education to taxpaying citizens. Although our tax environment in Mongolia carries the risk of voluntary concealment and non-reporting of income and subsequent tax liabilities, we cannot be accused of creating an informal black economy if we end up with forced tax evasion. On the contrary, we need to simplify taxes and make it easy to understand. In this way, step by step, the number of voluntary taxpayers will increase and our basic tax income will be increased. There's a lot of work being done by the tax department on this. The form of tax reporting should be simplified. It should be understandable and digitized. Mongolia was at risk of being put on the European Union's blacklist. In 2019, we successfully got off the blacklist as a result of certain changes. The reason we were able to get off that list is because we were able to change the tax code. Specifically, to prevent citizens from taking tax risks, legal regulations were made to obtain and exchange bank information from the tax office only for risk purposes.
The government has expressed that it will vigorously fight corruption. We have received a clarification from the Ministry of Justice on how the government will fight against corruption.
The Ministry of Justice is tasked with creating a new legal framework and presenting it to the government meeting as soon as possible. In recent years, the Anti-Corruption Department has identified assets and money amounting to about 2.5 trillion MNT during the investigation of crimes and concentrated them into the fund's income. Therefore, they are demanding to have a legal framework to determine the purpose of the budget, whether these revenues should be included in the state income or whether they should be included in the health and education sector to prevent crime in the first place. For example, in Great Britain, the ACA conducted the purchase and sale of private residences owned by persons investigated for criminal cases as state revenue. Also, the process and negotiations for the transfer of assets and income that were recently kept in the deposits of Mongolian officials in the Baltic countries are almost at the final stage. In this way, in the future, we will carry out such systematic work to intensify the work of bringing back to Mongolia the account and assets placed in foreign countries due to corrupt positions, and as part of the transfer process, the government decree initiated by the Prime Minister will instruct the relevant officials.
Now take a look at the current affairs of Mongolia.
Prime Minister Oyun-erdene will visit South Korea. The Mongolian Prime Minister Oyun-erdene has scheduled an official visit to South Korea from February 13th to 17th. During the visit, he will discuss the possibility of a visa waiver for Mongolian visitors traveling to South Korea. In January, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Batsitsik said regarding the activities aimed for citizens that discussions are often held for a visa-free travel for Mongolian citizens to highly developed countries. This year, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has announced that it plans to receive more than 40 high-level visits and 3 high-level state visits from Mongolia are being planned. The first foreign visit of the Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyun-erdene, was to Japan in July 2021. The Prime Minister's visit, which coincided with the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, was an important visit for Mongolia. Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyun-erdene, visited the embassy of Turkey in Ulaanbaatar and signed a book of condolences, expressing his deepest sincere condolences on behalf of the people of Mongolia to the Turkish people who have lost their family and loved ones after the devastating earthquake. The ambassador of Turkey, Zafer Ateş, said that more than 20,000 people have lost their lives in the natural disaster and that Turkey has suffered a great loss and a damage to many structures. Then he noted that Mongolia is one of the few countries that sent a rescue team in difficult times. Ambassador Ateş praised Mongolia's efforts to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. He expressed his gratitude to the people of Mongolia and the rescue team working at the site of disaster.
Let's look at the currency exchange rates provided by the Central Bank of Mongolia. Now let's look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying tuned. We'll see you next time with more news and updates. Have a good day ahead.